some excited faces at this hour after grueling, I guess, sessions continuously. So we can just promise you to make this short, snappy, and interesting. And hopefully there'll be a little participation. So the structure is such that we'll be having a panel discussion for about 25 minutes or so, after which we'll open it for the Q&A discussion, a 10-minute Q&A discussion. And I hope you have some interesting questions for us. I mean, so if you look at the topic, new purchase paradigms, how technology is influencing consumer buying habits, I guess it's well summed up by what Hamish Brewer, the CEO of JDA Software, has once said, that people don't go shopping anymore. They are always shopping. So this kind of what technology has enabled and ensured what's happening as far as the online buying habits and offline buying habits, like when people start buying electronic goods, for instance, or they want to buy a fridge, or they want to buy any kind of article today, they typically don't necessarily go and meet a salesperson. Rather, they would do much of their research online and then go and probably visit a store and check out for that particular item, or maybe just buy it online. So this, in the first place, is changing a big paradigm. Store formats, hence, are being carefully tailored, and marketing activities are formulated to exceed the expectations of this tech-savvy consumer. There are some interesting cases like IFC Mall in Hong Kong, which, for example, has commissioned scents that are circulated through the air conditioning systems. So technology is all pervasive, but I think it's more interesting to ask the users of technology and then the solutions providers as to how they look at the technology, and more importantly, how technology needs are being married with the return on investment, because at the end of the day, technology remains an enabler, a means to the end, and not an end in itself. So I would like to begin with Vinod. Vinod, you're with Walmart, obviously, and it's a very large retailer. So in this sense, what are the kind of technologies that you are using, the newer ones, and what has prompted you to do so?
Right. First of all, I think that was such a beautiful, observation about people are always shopping. As a discount retailer with, probably the most number of customers in the world, I think it's very important for us to reiterate our mission, which is really, meeting these people where they are, interacting with our customers, wherever they may choose to interact with us and in the way that they would like, to interact with us. The difficulty always comes that, technology has enabled them to do this in a number of ways, and that puts a lot of pressure on us to do things to be able to meet them, in their own terms, especially when you look at, for instance, omni-channel, where somebody wants to pick up something from a store that they've ordered from us online. That requires us to do a lot of things technically to enable those kind of transactions to happen. However, our view on technology, to your point about, what do you buy and how do you buy it? The answer is really, I think that we look at very fit for purpose, very basic technology. We do what we have to, not what is available out there. And I think in our discussions before, we had this analogy of a kid in a candy store. Technology is as much, there's as much technology out there for retailers as there is for customers, but we only do what we have to in order to meet our customers at the point at which they want to work with us or they need to work with us. So fit for purpose, I think, kind of sums it up, and that is how we look at ROI, is do what you have to. I think, it could be argued that there's potential for us to lead the customer in ways through technology, but broadly, I think the way we look at it is just, meet the customer, do what you have to do to interact with the customers at the level that they need to.
Thank you, Vinod. Kiran, you are a kind of a mid-sized retailer, but very kind of concentrated and specific kind of brand and menswear. And in fact, when I was talking to Kiran, he said it's only for men between 30 and 35. So I asked him, how do you arrive at that kind of a decision? Is it that people like us won't fit into that? So he said, no, basically you won't fit into the shirts or trousers. So I was a bit disappointed. But I guess also these kind of decisions involve a lot of analytics. They involve a lot of understanding of consumer buying patterns. So Kiran, I'm sure you would be able to highlight how do you look at these consumer buying patterns?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kiran Komatla. I'm representing Celio Future Fashion. It's a urban men's fashion international brand. And our targeted customer is of a man between 30, 35 years. It's a fact. It's the fashion where we are looking at is for the urban men who are age group of 30 to 35 years, and the targeted customers in the mass market is maybe 5 to 7% of the population. So it is very difficult for me to do a mass marketing to reach the customers. So technology will play a vital role for us in brand building and reaching to the right customer and maintaining the loyalty with the customers.
This control group had come out with some very interesting stuff on what are the kind of technologies available. So they sort of highlighted some major trends, and some of them included dynamic pricing, which uses data analytics, dynamic display signages, context-aware applications, apps to applications like Shopkick that can be used to target certain specific customers on a sales flow, proximity awareness, mobile points of sales and delivery. Now, and especially they talk about master data management. Now we have with us two solutions providers also. We have these range of technologies, and Rajiv, I'll pose the question to you first. With these kind of range of technologies, obviously, if you ask a user, they might say it's an overkill, like a child in a candy store, as Rajiv was saying. How do you actually gauge the needs of a retailer without an overkill or oversale?
Yeah, I think there is today the risk of definitely overkill in terms of the range of technologies available. And this has been there anyway, not only now, it's been there for quite some time. I mean, modern retail has been the recipient of all kind of ideas, okay, whether it were RFID ideas, and now we're talking about augmented reality, et cetera, et cetera. But I think when I start looking at offline retail and specifically talk about offline retail, okay, within the context of the online consumer, I think we have to keep two things in mind. The first is, today probably the consumer has got more technology than the retailer. In terms of, if we just take many consumers, they probably have more apps on their phone than how many retailers might have in their businesses. And the consumer's ability to use a range of technology in a very social way is significantly greater than how retailers have. And because they kind of taken it in a far more natural fashion, and as against viewing technology as technology. The second part about technology is that I think technology is basically a medium. It's going to change. So I mean, it was, let's say, now people are talking about AR and Google Glasses. But the point is, what are we going to do with technology from a business standpoint? Now, this is my 5th year of coming to conferences for, it started with e-commerce, then moved to multi-channel, now it's gone to omni-channel retailing. And there was a very interesting statistic which was given 3 years ago, that 80% of the top internet retailers in the US are basically offline retailers. And I was at Future Bazaar then running it, and there was a strong hope, okay, that offline retailers would have it. We kind of gone through a period of last 2-3 years, okay, where that belief got shaken a little bit. And fundamentally, I was basically seeing that technology was the one which was kind of coming under the microscope. And offline retailers were almost being led to believe that you got to be like an online retailer, that they represented the model that we had to replicate. And that's a bit of a replicating form over function. So we kind of gone through a phase where initially offline retailers denied e-commerce, and I had loads of that in my earlier organization where half my change management was within the organization. Then we got to a situation when offline retailers wanted to become exactly like an online retailer, right? Setting up the website, doing SEO, SEM, and this mirroring model hasn't worked because you can't compete with a guy who's raising money based upon valuation 2 times revenue by fighting his game. You can't compete at 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees cost of customer acquisition. So I think now we are getting into a phase which is becoming interesting, like Jitendra showed something about how Godrej Nature's Basket is trying to combine content and commerce. We were focusing on what kind of strengths we have in the business, and then try and marry technology to it. For instance, let me give 2-3 examples there. So we anyway seen Nature's Basket. There's another one we're working with, and this is an insight which came in through a recent presentation which is made by Mary Meeker, who is probably one of the most respected internet analysts, where she talks about retail, especially offline retail, being a convergence of content, community, and commerce. And that's basically, for example, many of our businesses, we're dealing with emotionally sensitive categories where the community is very strong, people want content, and as a result of that, you could have commerce. And beauty and wellness is a very strong category in that area. So we're working with one particular retailer where, again, it's a very emotionally sensitive category, getting onto e-commerce, but focusing much more on content and much more on bringing an entire community of hobbyists together so they can start sharing a lot of their ideas. And through that process, we hopefully will start creating commerce. Another one is, for example, if you take offline retail, 85% of India's retail happens through Kirana stores. The Kirana net in India is bigger than the internet. Internet in India covers 300 million, Kirana net covers close to around 1 billion. Now, how is it that we can start looking at some of the retail stores, the Kiranas, using technology in a fashion whereby they can start actually becoming online faces? So these are all interesting ways whereby we can apply technology, whatever may be the form of it, but in appropriate business context.
Thank you.